Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
You guys are not going to like what I have to say right now, but you know what? I will take a period like that all day long. You realize that at one point they took only 4 shots, scored on 50% of their shots. I'll take that. I mean, defensively, it's not a great period, but man, this team just knows how to do what they know how to do. It's really crazy. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'll take periods like this all day long. I'm sorry. I know I sound stupid, but when you score on 50% of your shots, I'll take it.
Me too. Well, I mean, I'm just surprised that I kind of called it. I thought they would score on that first power play, but they scored on their second power play. But I said 3-1 coming out, so.
Beautiful setup. Beautiful setup by Tarasenko. Both of them.
Yes, it was.
Both of the setups by Tarasenko.
Yeah, they were great.
What if we're thinking the Blues aren't trying because they're bored? They look like they can turn it on at any time. This team is special. Jason, I don't know, man. I think you may be right. I'm not completely sure. But, there's just something with how this team is playing. It really is interesting what the dynamic of this team is. They lull you into this. Oh, everyone jokes about the false sense of security. I think this team does that. I think they lull you into this false sense of security that, they're not a good team. They can be beat. You can make mistakes. And as soon as you make a big mistake, they capitalize. Right? They capitalize. This is, while the defense this game hasn't been good, they're capitalizing on Vancouver's mistakes.
They sure are.
And I enjoy. We're in trouble now. They're in trouble now. Guys, I don't know what's going on with the echo. I wish I could fix it. I've been trying. It's here. Sorry. That's all I can say. All right, Lance. Sorry about the first period. I don't know if you heard this or not, but for the show, I want to keep it in that little group trap. Right? And I had sent, what I did is I sent back-to-back things. So I sent the link, and I sent that video that we'll talk about in the post-game.
Okay.
So that might have been what happened is you didn't get to see both of them.
Probably not.
Yeah,
no big
I
deal.
didn't want you upset with me, my friend.
No, I'm not upset at all.
Okay. Man, I said it, Lance, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'll take a period like that almost all day long. Right?
Yeah. It wasn't the best period, but they got out of it and got ahead 3-1, and Houston's making the saves he should make, and he's made a couple nice ones, and he's faced a lot of shots, but like the other night, there wasn't a ton of quality opportunities, and guys are, for the most part, besides that one save he made, guys are clearing guys out from in front of the net. But that one, I don't think he saw it very well and still made the save. And he's looked pretty good. Getting a lot of stuff from people like Jason Nichols saying that Ville Husso's now taken over the number 1 spot, and that or not Houston yet. Husso's number 1 spot, and Bennington's going to be second. That's on the depth chart.
I don't see it yet.
Bennington on the depth chart is number. It's not going to happen. They're not going to let a guy making $6.5 million with a no trade clause set on the bench for many games. They're just not going to do it.
That is a nice hat you got on there, bud. Joan Kennedy says Husso's doing a stellar job between the pipes. He is, right?
Oh, nice.
That's beautiful.
That's a beautiful.
It's from the 99-2000 season.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a nice one. What I'm seeing is right now, this is a team that has formed an identity that doesn't make sense to me, but it works, right? They lay back, they let you play your game for a little bit, and then they find your mistakes and they exploit them. I've never seen a team do that. Never seen a team do that. Because normally, if you do that against good teams, you're going to be down 3-0 before you get a chance to exploit their mistakes. Yet this team,
we all know that's Craig Berube-based system. Play defense and wait till you wore them down, and eventually they're going to make mistakes, whether it's in the first period, second period, third period. And when it works really, really well. When it doesn't work, it's not good at all. But in this instance, and the last couple games, it's worked pretty well for them for the most part.
Yeah, it has, and it's done that. Is that Federico behind you, Lance?
No, that is Adam Oates.
Okay, yep. I got Oatesy behind me. I love Oates, man. I just love. I thought he got a bum deal here in St. Louis.
You want my personal opinion?
Yeah.
He is, in my mind, people are going to argue with me and stuff. And I've seen guys since the 70s as a kid. I've seen a lot of great players come and go. He is one of the best centermen I have ever seen. And him and Brett Hall, it's like Brett Hall could be in Las Vegas and Adam Oates could be in Atlanta, Georgia. And he'd call Brett up and say, I bet you're in Vegas, aren't you? They were that much in tune with each other. And he's just highly underrated, just a great center, and that's all I'll say about that.
I would put him third in the centers. I see where you're at. I'm sorry, I do put Gretzky and Al ahead of him when it comes to centers, but what he did when he did it, it was amazing.
I think what he was like on the Blues, yes, he's definitely one of the top centers. Gretzky's time with the Blues was too short for me to, compare them.
Well, if you got to look at it this way, if not for Adam Oates, Cam Neely doesn't get his what everybody calls 50 goals in 50 games. He played late in his career and was still doing great things. There's several players. Brett Hall doesn't get to 86 goals without Adam Oates. He just doesn't. Mm-hmm. Brett Hall doesn't. Adam Oates made everybody around him better. And I'm not talking just the Blues. If you talk to other teams he played for, Detroit, and he was really, really good in Detroit. Just a very, very good player. And I've got in my mind he's a top 5 center when it comes to passing, when it comes to dishing the puck.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you there.
Yeah, but hard to get on interviews, as Guy has learned, and hard to get him to do stuff like that though.
Yep, we're working on it though. Jones says we can't count on the comebacks. Actually, now we're going to have 15 if they win this game. Mm-hmm. But it would be better to get out in front. I would like to see him get out in front more, but I don't see it. Hey, Earl, I know you says I hope Benny gets his mojo back. It's about winning. If we get to the playoffs and Husso has the hot hand, I bet Benny sits. I could see it. I don't know if Benny will be around that long, to be honest, and that's just my opinion.
You mean Husso?
Hey, Earl, you might want to check my Facebook file. We got some bad news today. A classmate of ours passed. I don't want to. I did something earlier. I don't know if you've seen it. You send me a private message if you need to. Haven't heard the news, and I apologize, guys. It's too bad that a lot of these best players being talked about didn't win a cup during their time in St. Louis, and I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Jason says, Joan, when you're as good as a team, you're as good as this team we can. And you know what? I don't completely, like I said, I don't understand strategy or the identity, but it works. I mean, it's working. I mean, you look at what they did on that, a 2-minute 5-on-3, and they basically, Husso was in a shooting gallery, and they did everything they could to protect him, let a goal go in, and then all of a sudden have, late in the game, you get the pass by Sundqvist that somehow Falk makes an amazing, probably the goal of the week. Sorry guys, I'm going my nose and crap. But this team knows how to push the game. And that is something I haven't seen. I can't remember the last time I've seen a game where a team sits back like this and then takes over. I've never seen it.
I don't think they're sitting back in a lot of instances. I think sometimes when they come into this game, the other team's just playing better to start the game. I don't think every game it's them sitting back and being, we're going to sit back and let you wear yourself out. And I don't think that happens every game. There are games they come out and they're just flat. It's got nothing to do. In that Nashville game, when they were down 2-0, it wasn't because they were just trying to get Nashville to wear themselves out. Nashville was outplaying them in the first period. And that's why they went up 2-0. But like you said, down 2-0, something just clicked in them, and it was just firing on all. It's like they were working on 4 cylinders with an 8-cylinder engine, and then once they got down 2-0, they're like, "Well, we better get more RPMs, and we better get this new." They're just a different team.
Well, it's
John,
not only that, and this is a great question, Lance. It's John Hefter says, "Hey, Lance, does the value of Husso go up for trade value, or do we keep him?"
I the more he plays, and the more he shows he can play, the more teams are going to be interested, especially with the way COVID is. And some of these guys got to sit out, and especially a team that's got a goalie that's on the edge. Maybe he's just an NHL guy that can play 10, 15 games a year. They don't have confidence in him. Something like a Lindgren in Montreal several years ago, played 14 games in 1 year, and he was gone, the year after that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think it does go up. Like I said, if he continues to play well, I think teams, and I know teams are already knocking on the door for him. And I think he's playing more. Like Guy said, I did disagree with Guy last week saying he'd be traded by yesterday, and he wasn't. He could have been, but he wasn't. But I do agree with Guy on the one thing, that they could be playing him more to build up his value, to get picks for him, or to get something they feel they need going into the playoffs.
I think he's a second and a third right now, to be honest with you. I think that's what you asked for. And you kind of stick to your guns right now, because you have guys that can play just as good as he's been playing. Have shown you that they can play as good as he's playing.
Okay, Roland, we cannot trade Bennington. He has a no trade clause.
Yeah, he'd have to let go of it. No, he's not.
And also he would have to come back and play lights out for the rest of the year. Then if you're the Blues, you've got Husso that's played good, for the last few games. And then you bring Bennington back, and let's say he lights it on fire. Has a 1.89 goals against from now on, two goals against, save percentage of .920, just goes nuts like he did that 1 year. And you bring him back, you don't want to trade him going into the playoffs. He's your hot goaltender. It's different with a backup. It's totally different. I don't think they'll get 2 picks. I think it's going to be a second or a third, and maybe a lower end prospect if they do trade Husso. I just don't see teams giving up a second and third for a guy that's played 30 games or so in the league. I just don't.
Well, it comes down to this. It's not you get what you can get, but you got to ask for the moon first. And I think you asked. Be honest, I say you asked for a first and a fourth.
Well, it's kind of
down to a second and a third.
It's kind of like this. I've told you guys what Armstrong was asking for Tarasenko.
Yeah.
And he was shooting for the moon, acting like Tarasenko's a perennial 50-goal scorer, and he's not, and that's what he was wanting. And, he just didn't get it, and he hasn't come down from that.
I'm absolutely freaking glad. I knew, you know what? That, to me, you have a player like that you don't want to trade, you ask for a lot more than people are willing to give. And then you get the player back, and you say, hey, you're going to be here, go job. And that's what Tarasenko's doing. Then
what do you do if he has, let's say, a 2-week slump, and somebody calls you and says, he played good for these first several months, but he's really slumping now. We'll give you what you want. Then you've got to make a huge decision. Yeah. Huge decision. Do you get rid of him this year, even though they're playing great and he's playing awesome?
But here's the thing. He's pulled a no trade. When you say I will give you a list, it still doesn't mean that you'll accept the trade. You have the right to veto the trade, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think this was a move. I think that this was a calculated move that at first backfired, but now is not backfiring. It's turning into a system where the player and the coach are on the same page. And I'm like, okay, I get it now. I understand it. I don't think he would have ever accepted a trade to anybody.
He gave him a list of teams.
But he still has to accept it.
Guy, if they trade him, if he says, according to the CBA, if he says, I will go to this team, and the Blues find a deal for him after he gave them that list, he has to go to that team because he's given them that list with that team on it. He cannot back out and say, nope, even though I told you I would go to Boston, I'm not going there. Even though I told you I'd go to Edmonton, I'm not going there. That's why they did it that way, so that people with those clauses like that could give teams to where it would make it easier on a player, easier on the team to go, okay, we've made a deal with one of your teams, as opposed to a guy just coming and saying, I'm not being traded at all.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to go look at the CBA.
You can look at the CBA. If he says, I will go to Edmonton, and Edmonton comes up with a package the Blues like, Tarasenko cannot veto that because he's put it in writing to the NHL. All right, I have this no trade clause or this no movement clause. I had to pick 10 teams, 15 teams, whichever it is. These are the teams I will go to. And then the Blues negotiate. And then after that, it's not up to Tarasenko. It's up to Doug Armstrong.
I got to double check because I always thought that it was.
No, you don't even really need to double check. Lance is 100% correct. When you put it in writing, it's official.
It's official.
You can't just backtrack it. Now that Tarasenko has removed his request, though, it might go away. But it's.
Yeah. And the Guy and I both agreed. Guy was there at practice, and I told you what I knew that. It was more of Tarasenko going to him saying, hey, I don't feel like I'm being used properly. We need to figure something out. If you can't use me properly, maybe we should look into a trade. And the way this media portrayed him was that he was a jerk and all out for himself and wanted to trade. And I hate the media for doing that to him in this city.
No, I said that. I said that from the get-go. Mm-hmm. From the get-go, I brought that up. So let's get into this third period.
Good one, Jose.
What do we think for this third period? The Blues are now plus 27 in the second. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. We're plus 9. Hey, I'm media, Tommy. I don't suck. I don't think I suck. So what do we think for the third? We got about a minute. Ashley?
I'm hoping that they don't go into a prevent defense. I would really like to see them score another goal to make it a further gap.
Yeah, you can ask. I forget. You can ask the LA Rams about prevent defense. They got lucky today. They got absolutely lucky today. Yeah, I figured that much. Lance, what do you think for the third?
I think they need to come and put pressure on him and put him away. Like you said,
put him away.
I want to have that. I want to see that killer instinct get 2 goals in the first 5-6 minutes, and have Vancouver just really pushing to where they do make mistakes, and it gives the Blues opportunities.
I'm with you. You need that kid. You've got that big game tomorrow. You can't look ahead to it, but you need to tell Calgary we're coming. We're coming. And you tell them we're coming by putting this one away. Okay, guys, this is Guy, Lance, and Ashley saying aloha mahalo, and we'll see you at the postgame show.